Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge. I'm the counselor of cash, Sia Nejad. We've got a great show for you, and as always, we're brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we bring in the stars of the show. Good job, Buckets. 2 out of 3. EK almost gets that cover. UNC loses by 6, was covering for some time in that game. SportsLine picked Giannis over 41.5 points and rebounds. If memory serves, that one covered pretty easily. 3-2, we'll take that. Another day of more green than red. We're going to try to bring that back today with the stars of the show. We've got Mackenzie Brooks. We've got Tom Casale. We've got Martin Green, which must mean we got soccer. We got college football. We've got college basketball. I've got an NFL pick. We've got a SportsLine NHL pick. Mackenzie, we're covering all the bases, which is probably the improper metaphor or analogy to use since we don't have baseball covered. But either way, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. You know me. We're going to take a little dip into some college football, some player props, hit basketball as well. Every time I see Tom, I get excited. We're getting really close to the weeds of college basketball season.
That's right, Tom. I did a breakdown yesterday, and I probably wasn't super fit to do this breakdown. It was for that other show that sometimes you appear on, By the Book. On the SEC, real quick commentary. I mean, I wasn't planning on asking you this. The SEC is so loaded. Are we overhyping them as a conference because we are so early in the season, or is this one of the best maybe conferences we've seen in a decade or two?
No, I don't think we're overhyping them. You know, I was on Carolina too last night. That was a tough loss. They were up 4 with 3 minutes to go and didn't cover. I still think Florida is a little overvalued. I did this dance with Florida last year. I had them 70-1. They don't like to play defense, and sooner or later you get caught that way. But listen, I think Auburn, I have it at 28-1 to win it all. I think they're a good team. I think Alabama will get better as the season goes on. I mean, it's just, these super conferences now, again, it's just like college football, right? Like the Big 12 and the SEC are going to beat each other up a little bit during the regular season. So I think what you're looking for in the futures now is wait until 2025. Wait to that late January, early February window. Okay, who's healthy? Who's starting to play well? Don't worry about what their records were in November. I mean, listen, you look at Alabama. I've never seen a schedule that tough in my life. So it doesn't matter what happened in November. Try to find who's starting to catch fire around February. Get a good number. That's how I would attack the futures market with the SEC.
Auburn at 28-1 just sounds so amazing. Martin Green, I got a question. I know we have 3 picks that we want to get started on from you, but my Commanders play your and Mackenzie Brooks and Prop Stars Philadelphia Eagles. It's a 3.5-point spread. It's in Washington. Who covers the spread? Soccer capper Martin Green.
I'm sorry, Sia. I'm going to say the Eagles. Surging with momentum right now. Can't stop winning. I feel like your Commanders are fading at the worst time of the season, and I think Philly cover it. What about you?
Well, I'm going to abstain because I kind of agree, and I don't want to throw my team under the bus. Mackenzie, quick thoughts on that game. It's probably going to move to 4 by the time this thing kicks off if you like Washington.
Oh, yeah. I agree with my good friend Martin over there. I think they are catching heat at the right time. I think the Commanders are not. Seem to have our A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts drama all figured out. Apparently that was the ticket we needed, so this is the right time. They're starting to make me feel less frustrated. They've always frustrated me, and they've been winning, but now I'm starting to feel less frustrated.
My analysis on the Commanders is as follows. As soon as we think Philly's got it figured out, they remind us that they don't. So perhaps this is the week that they remind us that they don't. By the way, I want to mention UF Larry in the chat, Eric David, Mr. Big, Joe Neuenfeld, Mark Timoney, KC3, all of you in the chat. And I'm leaving out, hundreds of names here. UF Larry's coming off his 2nd hip surgery. So let's give UF Larry some well wishes. An incredible guy that I've gotten to know, and a lot of people in this chat have gotten to know. Please wish Larry some well wishes. He's grinding through it. He's doing a great job. Positive mindset always for him, but I'm sure he'd enjoy some well wishes. All right. How about some bets? Martin Green, start us off with some soccer plays.
Thank you very much, Sia. Yeah, Arsenal are playing today against Crystal Palace in the EFL Cup. I have an article on SportsLine covering that game. So if you're interested, go check it out. But I'm looking at another one of the EFL Cup games. I think that Newcastle should really be full of confidence after they thrashed Leicester 4-0 at the weekend. They're playing Brentford in the EFL Cup today, and I think they should secure a home win. They have a very strong record in this competition. Now, Brentford actually beat Newcastle in London earlier this month, but they have a terrible away record this season. 0 wins, 1 draw, and 7 defeats from 8 games on the road. So that looks like a good spot for Newcastle to me. And I'm parlaying them, as you can see down below, with Roma, who should beat Serie B team Sampdoria in Coppa Italia. Roma in Serie A, the top division, Sampdoria in the second division. They are struggling in the league at the moment, Roma, but this competition really gives them a chance to salvage something from their season. I think they get the job done. Put them both together at -105. Looks great to me. And over in Spain, there's a league game between Villarreal and Rayo Vallecano. Both teams to score has paid off in 13 out of 16 games featuring Villarreal so far this season. They've scored in all 8 of their home matches, but they've only kept a single clean sheet. They're just wide open. They send everyone forward, score loads of goals, concede loads of goals. It's very entertaining, but very nerve-wracking for their fans. Both teams to score has also paid out in 10 of 16 games featuring Rayo Vallecano. They're coming off a thrilling 3-3 draw with the mighty Real Madrid at the weekend. So we should see goals in this game. -133. It's a bit juicy, but I'm squeezing it.
All right. Love how you finished that. Samuel Gallegos wants to know, Martin, are you wearing the full kit? He asks.
I'm afraid not. But I'll put on my long socks and shin pads in time for the game.
Fair enough. That would be hilarious if you did that. If you did that, please, or if you do that, please take a selfie and tag SportsLine on it. Speaking of SportsLine, we've got a SportsLine pick. We're going to transition to the NHL. By the way, if you want to ask Martin questions, he's super active in the chat. Also, hit the like button if you could. Ask us any questions, make any comments you wish. The SportsLine pick, we're going to the NHL. Like I said, Jets at the Ducks. We're going to take the Ducks +1.5 here at -143. Again, the Ducks +1.5 at -143. This one starts at 10 o'clock. And it's actually a really nice transition to a new BetMGM promo that's going to cover a lot of different sports. But today, it's hockey. Let me tell you about BetMGM's 7 days of parlays. Today, BetMGM account holders will receive an NHL Parlay Boost token. Score a bigger payout if your wager with the Parlay Boost token hits. Token can be used on parlays and same-game parlays. Okay. We'll probably have other sports coming, new promos from BetMGM, which I absolutely love. And we got to get to Tom Casale's college basketball pick. We got to get to Mackenzie Brooks' picks. We got to get to my NFL pick. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners. We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Tom, all right, let's get the SEC out of the way, or we got it out of the way. Let's talk about maybe some of the lesser conferences, but not necessarily lesser teams. This Bradley team, if I remember correctly, is a team you had your eye on heading into this college basketball season.
Yeah, I've been waiting for the right time to bet Bradley. I had this game circled for a while. I like San Francisco. I think they're a really good basketball team. But if you look at what they've done so far, schedule ranks 267th in strength of schedule and Ken Pom. They've played 11 games, 8 have been home, 3 on neutral court. This will be their first true road test. So what I like to do at this point in the season is look at teams that might have played a little bit of an easier schedule, go into a tough road environment. And that's what we have tonight with Bradley. This game actually opened up Bradley +1.5. And you know me, Sia, I'm there refreshing the lines. And even I couldn't get that one fast enough. By the time I put my bet in, the line had already changed. Bradley was a slight favorite. And I think that's where it should be. I think this is going to be a close, competitive game, but I like the spot. Bradley's coming off a loss to Santa Clara. They did not match up well against Santa Clara, but I think they match up a little bit better here with San Francisco. Good competitive game, but give me Bradley to get the win at home.
All right, that's a bet for tonight. Mackenzie's got a couple of bets for tonight in college basketball and in college football. But before we get to that, let me give you a bet for tomorrow night, Thursday night football. I'm fading Gus Edwards. I don't want to take his under rushing yards because that line's really starting to come down to a place where even Gus Edwards can probably get it. I'm going to go with longest rush under 10.5 yards against this stout Denver Broncos rush defense. But this isn't really about the Denver rush defense, although that's a part of it. It's just about Gus Edwards and how inefficient he's been. Over the last 5 games, he's hit this longest rush total in one of them. I think it was because of a 12-yard run. And granted, I do have to tell everybody who doesn't bet these types of props, the 10.5 number is pretty low. So, I mean, this is one of those where normally with a starting running back, you're going to see 13.5, 14.5 for like the stars like Barkley and them or Henry. You're going to see 16.5, 17.5. This is 10.5. It's low. It's low for a reason. I think Gus Edwards is only going to get 8 to 10 carries. I think we're going to see a couple of more carries from Kamani Vidal. Either way, this running game is really bad for the Chargers. Even when J.K. Dobbins was healthy, it was really bad for the Chargers. And I don't see Gus Edwards, even if he gets 10 carries, I don't see him springing one for 11 yards or more. So I'm going to take Gus Edwards' longest rush tomorrow night under 10.5 yards. We got football and basketball still left on the docket. Mackenzie, kick us off with some college basketball.
Yeah, and I actually really like Tom's play here. I had 2 college basketball plays I was picking in between, Bradley being one of them, but then figured we might as well, spread the board a little bit. So we're going to go to Washington State to cover against Washington, catching 3 right now. It was 3.5, so there is some steam to this Washington State side, and for good reason. This is a team that is basically on a heater, and they've won their last 3 games, and they're not just 3 games in general. One against Nevada, who is a team that beat Washington, so that's important to note. And then they also beat Boise on the road. Now they do have some injuries they're dealing with. Maybe some people in the chat know about it, but even without 2 of their best guys, this is still a 7-8-man deep rotation, and they've been taking care of business without those 2. So I don't think it will be a problem here tonight. The SportsLine model has them winning outright by 3. So again, the 3.5 to 3, not too much of a problem for me, but definitely act on this while you can. And then we're going to go up the street to a little bowl game here, the Boca Bowl for me over in South Florida here. We're going to go with George Petway, James Madison's running back, over 65.5 rushing yards. Now, this line was at 62.5 just about an hour ago. So again, another one you probably want to act on if you can. And good reason this is steaming as well. He's averaging 73 yards per game. And their quarterback, who's out with a leg injury, obviously will not be playing. So to me, that means a lot of game on the ground for him. You should see a lot of action. You're going up against a Western Kentucky team, and that's really their biggest their biggest weakness. They're allowing 222 yards on the ground per game. So perfect storm for our guy, George Petaway here. I'd probably play it up to maybe 67.5, but I would certainly get it while you can.
Loving all the JMU plays. Mark Buckholtz in the chat says, knowing that I'm a JMU alum, went to JMU and University of Richmond. He says, I'm a little surprised that Sia isn't wearing a JMU polo for today's Boca Raton Bowl in support of the Dukes. So one, I don't actually have a JMU polo, but James Madison University, if you want to send me one, that's totally cool. But this is purple. So it was the closest I could come, Mark, to actually supporting JMU. And I'll say this, I was on the network show yesterday with one Emery Hunt, who is as sharp as ever, both sharp looking and all of his takes are sharp as well. He likes JMU -7. I had a show with Thor Nystrom yesterday. He was a really good college football capper. He likes JMU -7. And Mackenzie, part of the reason he likes that, we've got a third stringer, it looks like, for JMU. And he's not very good, but the running game against Western Kentucky looks like it's going to shine. I mean, I think Petaway could absolutely destroy this number. Really like the play. I know there's a lot of smart people, including yourself and the SportsLine model, that support the JMU running game specifically. Martin, any soccer questions we need to get to that you saw in the chat?
Oh, yeah, thanks. I was actually just responding to a question from Tommy Unders, so I can do it vocally rather than writing it out. It was asking about an Intercontinental Cup game taking place between Real Madrid, which is in Spain, and Pachuca, who are in Mexico. If they both play their strongest starting 11s, Real Madrid should kill Pachuca. It should be maybe 3-0, 4-0, something like that. It really depends how seriously Real Madrid are going to take this competition and the quality of the starting 11 that Carlo Ancelotti puts out. But I would expect Real Madrid to win it quite comfortably. So probably I'd look at Real Madrid -1.5 on that one.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the chat, not your take here, Martin. Jeff Stenberg says James Madison should cover the -6.5. If that's where you're getting the line, that's great. But I don't feel good betting on a school with 0 notable graduates. Ouch. That actually kind of hurts. Hey, we have some good NFL players. Charles Haley went to James Madison, Hall of Famer. And let's see, Gary Clark of Washington fame. There's some good JMU guys. Let's see. In the chat, UF Larry says, James Madison, integral part of War of 1812. By the way, UF Larry is a history teacher. Today is 12/18. Is that a coincidence? I think not. And KC3 wants to know, where is the face paint? And Tommy Under says, I'm also a JMU alum and an attorney like Sia. How very cool. Tommy, thanks for chiming in. Mackenzie, anything in the chat we needed to cover?
No, Joe said Tommy Unders is Danny Brasco's burner account, which is like super fair. And I was thinking to myself, like, I literally could not relate less to a username than Tommy Unders. Like,
that is,
I think I could probably count on one hand the amount of unders I've taken this year.
What's funny is Danny Brasco is always in the chat, and he's just so happens to not be in the chat today. So perhaps that is Tommy Unders. Tom Casale, I don't know if you're looking at the chat. Was there anything college basketball wise that you saw?
I didn't see anything. You know, they listen, this is the time to hit college basketball. You know, you guys are going to want me in March. That's the toughest time. Win your money now and then have fun in March. That's how I do it.
Absolutely love it. Mark Buckholt says the Ben DiNucci slander is real. Of course, he's on an NFL roster too. Of course, James Madison grad there as well. Well, listen, I could read James Madison comments all day, but let's just go ahead and get to the recap screen. I've got Gus Edwards tomorrow. Longest rush under 10.5 yards at -118. Martin Green, moneyline parlay, Newcastle plus Roma at -105. And Villarreal, Rayo Vallecano, both teams to score -133. Tom Casale, Bradley, -130. Mackenzie Brooks, Washington State in college basketball +3. And we turn to college football tonight. James Madison, we've got their running back, George Pettaway, over 65.5 rushing yards at -115. And the sports line pick, don't forget about that BetMGM promo, Ducks +1.5 at -143. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a really great show. Very clean show. We got you a lot of different picks today. We try to do that every single day. Really appreciate all the activity in the chat, all the picks in the chat. Big Cheesy, Gipper's picks, Mr. Big, Mark Hood. I see everybody in here. Brian Grebbins, Joseph Rackett, Jeff Hatley, Moshi is in here. Thanks for being in here. Really appreciate everybody hitting the like button, supporting this show. On behalf of Mackenzie Brooks, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, Tom Casale, and Martin Green, I'm the Counselor of Cash, Sia Nejad. This has been The Early Edge. We rest our case.